A mother wished for a child red as blood and white as snow, standing under a juniper tree with her own blood dripping on the fresh snow. She got her wish. Years later, her son was murdered by another woman's hand, cooked into a stew, and fed to his own father, who ate every bite and asked for more. This is what the Brothers Grimm published in 1812. This is grim and true. It was winter, and a woman stood beneath a juniper tree in her yard, peeling an apple. The knife slipped and cut her finger. Watching her blood fall onto the snow, she made a wish, that she might have a child as red as the blood and as white as the snow. 9 months later she gave birth to a son, and died from the joy of holding him. Her husband buried her beneath that same juniper tree. In time he remarried, and his new wife bore him a daughter, a girl called Marlinchen. The stepmother loved her own child completely. For the boy, she felt nothing but a cold and growing hatred, because she could not stop thinking of the inheritance that would one day be his and not her daughter's. This story was collected by the Grimms in 1812 in its original Low German dialect, recorded almost word for word from a painter named Philipp Otto Runge, and the brothers themselves call it one of the finest tales ever told. The stepmother's cruelty grew with every season, small slaps, cold silences, until one afternoon she opened a great chest full of apples and called the boy over to choose one for himself. As he leaned into the chest, she let the heavy lid fall. It struck his neck and severed his head completely. For a moment she stood frozen at what her own hands had done. Then, coldly, she lifted his head back onto his neck, tied a scarf around the wound to hide it, and sat his body in a chair by the front door with an apple placed in his hand, as though nothing at all had happened. When Marlinchen came home, her mother told her to go ask her brother for an apple. He did not answer. Told to slap him for his rudeness, Marlinchen struck him, and his head rolled from his shoulders onto the floor. She was certain, in that instant, that she herself had killed him. Her mother told her to say nothing to anyone, ever, and that they would find a way to fix what had been done. What the stepmother did next was fix it in the only way she knew. She cut the boy's body into pieces, cooked him into a dark, rich stew, and served it to her husband the moment he came home hungry from the fields. He ate with real pleasure, praising the meal, finishing every bite, saying it was so good he would not share a single spoonful, and tossing the bones under the table as he went. Marlinchen gathered every one of those bones in secret, wrapped them gently in her best silk kerchief, and buried them beneath the juniper tree where the boy's true mother already lay. Mist rose from the tree, then flame. Then, from the branches, a bird flew out, singing a strange and beautiful song about a mother who killed, and a father who ate, and a sister who gathered the bones with love. The bird flew into town and traded that same haunting song, verse by verse, for a golden chain from a goldsmith, a pair of red shoes from a shoemaker, and finally, from a group of millers, a millstone so heavy it took the whole crew to lift it. The bird carried the millstone home and sang its song once more outside the house. The father ran out, and the golden chain dropped gently around his neck. Marlinchen ran out, and the red shoes landed softly at her feet, and for the first time since her brother's death, she felt something like joy again. Then the stepmother went out too, drawn against her own will by a song she could not resist, and the bird let the millstone fall. It crushed her instantly. In the smoke and fire that rose from where she had stood, the boy appeared again, whole and alive, and the three of them who deserved to survive walked back into the house together. The Brothers Grimm kept this story almost untouched across every edition they published, because its dialect and its song were considered too perfect to improve. It is widely regarded as the most violent tale in their entire collection, and modern versions routinely cut the cannibalism entirely or turn the decapitation into a vague accident with no one responsible. The original names the stepmother's cruelty plainly and lets nature itself, the tree, the bones, the bird, deliver a justice no court in that world would have provided. This is grim and true. If you want more of the real stories, subscribe. Next week features Bird, the grim tale about a locked room, a bloody egg, and a bride who was never supposed to survive what she found inside. Until then, stay in the dark.